Well, we've reached the 1980s. Bethune College had successfully navigated the first 10 years. That was the 1970s. We're now into the 1980s. The college continued to be a vibrant place, finding its way academically, particularly this this decade, under the leadership of three different masters, Griff Cunningham, David Lumsden, and Fred Morgan. But it was the academic activity which shines, in my opinion, so much during this particular decade. All the various conferences that were hosted across a wide range of activities, not just focused on China and the third world, but various civil issues that were associated with, were facing the Canadian population, the university movement as a whole. Lots and lots of really good information that you can read here on the notice board. And of course, if you have the opportunity to pop into the masters, the head's office, and to be able to look at all of the differing memorabilia, particularly from the lexicon, because they covered the issues, lots of the posters of the various conferences, and so on. The lexicon continued to thrive. It built on its reputation from the 1970s, continued to present news with the Bethune flair, shall we say, all through the 1980s. Normans and Jacks became hubs of activity, particularly Jacks. It really was the center of the social life of the college throughout the 1980s. The relationship with Bethune residents continued to build strongly, and that was the precursor for the next 20 years or more, the relationship between the college, the head's office, and the Dons, the residence tutor. That position has gone by a number of names, but you can see the close attachment the college had with the residents during the 1980s. Perhaps, however, the most traumatic event occurred late in the 80s. Ever since the colleges were formed on the university campus, there was always this nagging question of how they fit in with respect to the faculties and to the academic mission of the university. There was certainly a bit of navel gazing during the 1970s, and yet again, another task force was set up in the 80s, towards the end of the 80s, the Hare Report, to look at the relationship of the colleges with respect to the university, with respect to the faculties. This led to a very significant change as far as Bethune College was concerned. They were realigned under the Hare Report with the Faculty of Science and the Faculty of Environmental Studies, as it was known back then. As a consequence, as we move from the Lumsden era, master of the time, the head of the time, to Fred Morgan, we moved into the Faculty of Science. And you can see on here on the notice board, and again in the memorabilia, the relationship was beginning to grow with the new master, the faculty deans, and so on, as the focus, the academic focus, and literally the student focus from the college moved into the Faculty of Science. This happened very late in the decade, so you don't see very much on this notice board, but it really came to life during the 1990s. That's the next focus